Hi everyone, this is part 2 of Crop and Create Delivered Spring 2025. This class was presented by Altenew and it is called Graceful Florals. What we were creating in this class were sympathy cards. All right, so I'm going to share with you what they included in the kit. This is the stamp set. I'm sorry, this is the die set called Floral Laurel. And this is the stamp set. Okay. These are the coordinating stencils. So we did ink blending. And embossing folder, 3D, all called Floral Laurel. And I purchased this glitter cardstock, the gem sparkles, and some of their inks. This one is called, wow, that is bright, Citrus Burst, Firefly, Sea Breeze, and Blush, as well as Shadow Creek. And I did have to do some substitutions for some of the colors I did not have. All right. Here is one of the cards. So here basically we just took 4¼ by 5½ sheet and did ink blending on it, and then used the stencils and the stamps, and the sentiments were included. We did a shaker card, which I don't think I would ever do a shaker card for a sympathy card, but I thought that was interesting. I just followed through with the plan. Okay. And this last one, which I thought was really cute. Okay, you know what? I did not put it on a white base. This is Spring Rain from Paper Tray ink. So I used that to do the base. And those were the cards from Altenew. This class was called Timeless Masked Petals, and the presenter was LDRS Creative. All right, so this was the sentiment that was used. You are timeless. We have 2 stamp sets. One is the fresh cut tulips and the other the fresh cut daisies. And we have the masks for each stamp set. I think I've only done masking once, so this was real interesting to me, and I actually ended up really liking it. And also a slew of Copic markers. That was our coloring medium. I mean, my coloring medium. She used Copics. You could use whatever coloring medium that you had. I also pulled out this die and the multi-liner pen from Copic. That was important to have when masking. All right, and the cards turned out so pretty, which I would go back and create these again. This was the first one. Love how that turned out. Now, I didn't use the correct ink for the flowers, and I learned that once I started coloring, but it's not so bad. Like Gina K says, it's better than horrible. All right, and this was the second one. And that's that sentiment. We had to stack the sentiments. Once we cut it, had to stack it to give it dimension. But I just love the masking because the flowers are in the background. And they turned out so pretty. And this was the last one. I did not put a sentiment on it because I think I'm going to use it. And they use the same sentiment, "You are timeless," but I think I'm going to do this as a birthday card or something. But I thought that turned out pretty as well. So that was LDRS Creative. Here we have Brutus Monroe, and we used a lot of rub-ons, card panels that he included, as well as what he called shattered glass foil transfers. So let's explore this kit. And this allowed me to pull out my mink, which I know a lot of us many, many years ago purchased that mink from Tuesday Morning. So that was fun to do. But here is his kit. There were coordinating dies, a stencil. These are the stamps that you use the dies with. And the sentiments are, "You make me smile. Hello, my friend. Today is a new day, and today we celebrate." And his class was called New Day, New Beginnings. This is a panel that I did not use. So I was saving it for something else. But that's that shattered glass. That's how that looks. And I ran it through my mink. That is gorgeous. All right, and here is our trusty popsicle stick to use with the rub-ons. And these were the rub-ons. Alrighty. That was shattered glass. Okay. And we created 3 cards. You make me smile. So this was one of the panels that he included. And you can see the rub-ons here and here. And this one, "Hello, my friend." We actually cut out the dot shape in the panel itself. You could have popped this up, but just to keep it flat for mailing, I did not. And more of the rub-ons here. And here is another panel. Really cute. So we got to choose the rub-ons we wanted to choose and put that there. Now, he did take glue runner and added glue to each of these strips. Took that shattered glass, rubbed it on there, and it was really pretty. I'm on the fence about doing that because I don't want my card front messed up. But that turned out really cute. All right, so that is Brutus Monroe. This kit was from Concord and Ninth, and the class was called Happy Mail. All right, so what we got in the kit was this stamp set called Happy Mail Stamp Set, this 3D embossing folder, coordinating dies for the stamp set. They always include their inks. The colors are just so pretty. This is Creamsicle, Tide Pool, Honeysuckle, and Pink Lemonade. And I also purchased their Dove ink. And I get the cubes because I'm not really sure that I want to have the larger ink pads yet, but we shall see. And they also include their papers. They cut it this size, and when we need to cut it down, we just cut it down. So that was the kit, and these are the cards. Love, love, love how we offset the colors. This was so cute. And I love the font in those sentiments. So that was the first one. Love how plain, not plain, but how simple this one is. And you can put any sentiment on here that you'd like. So if you're sending a crafty friend some happy mail, this is perfect. And this was my favorite out of the three. Love this mailbox. Love it. We had the dove paper for the mailbox, but I wanted to see how this metallic was going to work out. Perfect. And this is the inside. I just thought this was so cute. And I have seen crafters in the Facebook group for Crop and Create Delivered. Instead of putting this here, they have put cupcakes and used cupcake sentiments or birthday sentiments. Really, really cute. And that was Concord and Ninth. We have Hero Arts, and the title of their class session was Spring Bloom, which you see there's a prevailing theme throughout this entire crop, and that is flowers, which is great because I just love them. All right, so let's explore the kit. I did purchase 2 of their inks, the pine and the spicy mustard. I didn't get the blue one because they were sold out of that one, so I substituted with this Simon Hurley No Diving, and it worked out great. She was suggesting that you can use oxide inks, but because they take longer to dry, you would have to kind of sit around and wait a minute. Okay, so we had this Hero Wax in white that we used. The stamp set. These enamel dots. And this was our layering stencil set. And it is called Meadow Blooms Stencils. And this cover plate, which coordinates with the stencils. And it is called Meadow Blooms Cover Plate. And we also had to create a template to use when we use the cover plate. Okay, so let's get these things moved to the side. And I like purchasing different companies' inks so that I can get a feel for the inks. So that has been pretty good to do that. All right, so here's one card. The Sending Big Hugs. They didn't use the black panel. I just put it back there to make it pop off the white. But that's that wax. That's how that comes out. Now I think my stencil may have lifted here. And that's the reason I have that line. But it has a nice sheen to it. Really pretty. All right, and then we have the hello there. And of course you can use any sentiment you choose to use. That turned out pretty as well. And we use the cover plate on this one. This is where we emboss. We use the cover plate for embossing. So that was interesting because I had never done that. And then we took, after ink blending, we just used the cover plate to cut the individual flowers out and just layered those. But I love that sheen. So again, these are cards that I would make again. Loved how those turned out. And that is Hero Arts. Here we have Pink and Main, And she packages all of her items in this nice folder, and I think you can purchase these from her website. So let's see what we have in here. See, that is really nice. We have a stamp set, wishing you well, speedy recovery, sending cheer, get well soon, and thinking of you. A pocket die set. These were the papers that we used, the gradients and dots, and when I tell you this is some thick paper, absolutely beautiful, great quality. This is an embossing folder, and it is called Pocket Full of Posies. And then we had this die set, and this is called Flower Cart Pop-Up Dies. All right, and I also purchased her chunky glitter. And I am going to move this to the side. And we had 2 cards. Well, actually 3 cards, technically 3. All right, here is the first one, sending cheer. And for the centers, I didn't go back and pull those gradient papers to cut the centers out of. This was a lot of die cutting. So I just used some yellow glitter paper from my stash. But here you can see the embossing folder. And it's a Z-fold card. Really cute. And then we did one with the cart. And I just used the same sentiment. I'm actually sending these cards out real soon. And that's the inside. And then this last one I am going to have to redo. Gina K always says, these are your practice cards. I try not to go with that philosophy because I want it done right the first time. But this one did not come out right the first time. So this is the flower cart. And what I did was took a sheet of craft paper. Let's see, I have that here. And I saw in the Facebook group where a lady said that she took wood grain cardstock that she had, and she went over it with vintage photo ink and gathered twigs. I didn't have the wood grain cardstock, but I had a craft sheet, and that's what I did, and that's how that came out, and I absolutely love that, instead of just using the plain craft paper. But here's the card, and when it folds, it will fold to fit into an A2 sized envelope. But the problem that I had is it would fold one way correctly, but not the other way. And what actually ended up happening, and I've pulled this out and redid and put it just to see if that was my error, I didn't put this connector piece close enough to the edge. I had it kind of like right here, and that just was not close enough. But I will redo this and come back and show you how it turned out. But it will fold down to fit into an A2 envelope as a card. All right, so that is Pink and Main. Thank you all so much for stopping by and watching. Happy crafting.